This is Come to Daddy with Reuben K, the podcast for people who can't afford therapy or self-awareness but love a statement hearing. I'm not saying I've got daddy issues, but today I fell in love with the tram driver just because he opened doors for me. It's me, Reuben K, at the Comedy Festival in Australia, and the who's who of Australian comedy is here, which means, of course, my sidekick, my left arm, or possibly my inactive and soon-to-be-removed appendix, Amanda, isn't here. Amanda, how are you doing in the smoking crater that once was London?
Hello, sorry, what did he call me? His soon-to-be-removed appendix. To be fair, I have been called worse. At school, I was known as Damien because I was born on the 6th of the 6th, 1969, 666, and my mother's name was Rosemary, which makes me Rosemary's Baby. I used to write 666 just under my hairline there in biro. I think that's called owning it. Anyway, thank you for listening to Come to Daddy, for that is why we are here. And back to Australia and Reuben and the shiny, interesting people.
Hey, so let's get into it. My guest today is the Tasmanian devil of Australian comedy, cabaret, music, radio. Is there anything she can't do? Yes, be accepted by the Australian comedy community. She's a woman of many talents, including pissing off all the right people. And I'm a firm believer that you're not doing the right thing unless you're pissing some people off. Please welcome, possibly my mother, Em Rusciano.
I'm blaming myself. If I'm your mother, someone is going to have to answer some pretty severe questions from the police. I'm only 5 years older than you, bitch.
Well, okay, I'll take it back. In theory, in like the artistic terms.
Oh, right, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I did set myself on fire to clear the path for you assholes.
This is true. You did. And I walked through those ashes.
Rubbing yourself with my remains.
This is true. Welcome to Come to Daddy.
Thank you. Oh, well, did you run out of comics?
Yes, that's why we've got you.
I assumed so.
Hey, this podcast, I like to talk because it's about parents, it's about family, and the rule of any good orgy, family comes first.
Yes.
But you are very interesting to me because not only do you obviously come from a family, you have a family, you believe in fostering family with your audience, which is a really beautiful thing that, I'll be honest, not a lot of entertainers really take as seriously as you. Why do you feel like that's an important thing to do for your audience?
Because I grew up feeling desperately alone and like an outsider and like I didn't fit in anywhere. And so as soon as I became aware that this thing that I was doing could perhaps help other people to not feel as lonely as I did, it just opened up a whole new reason and purpose for me. And anytime I felt anxiety or self-conscious, I would take it back to like 10-year-old Em and think about what does she need in this moment? What does 20-year-old Em need in this moment? So really it was just filling the gaping hole.
I'm in.
Thank you. That I have felt my whole life with community. And I understand the importance of community because I'm a member of so many different ones.
Yeah. You have your fingers in a lot.
Yes, but have never felt like I am enough for each of those because I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, arguably. So I'm not comedy enough for the comedians because I sing. I'm not cabaret enough because I do a lot of jokes for the cabaret industry. I'm not, I don't really work on TV because of my mouth and my face and my general demeanor. Radio, I pissed everyone off. So I've kind of, I go in and then I'm not their version of me and I have to quickly go away. And what I did was I found my own crew. That's what I did.
You forged a real path for yourself. And now you are arguably bigger than and playing bigger houses than a lot of the main stage comedians.
Well, it's true. Guilty.
It's true.
It's true. I can't lie. I am. And I know when people see that, they like to say, oh, it's that audience. Like I've somehow drugged them all for a decade.
I love that. The envy of people when they see someone being loved because they put the work in.
I did.
You're keeping yourself warm with the bridges you burned. She's toasty, bitch.
I really am.
She's toasty.
She's in a personal summer right now, actually. Jesus.
Hey, I've got a question for you. I don't believe talent comes from nowhere. I don't believe people come from nowhere. You are still such a unique person. What were your parents like?
Oh, wow. Is this a 3-day podcast? Do you have a psychiatrist outside ready for me to go?
I've got a bottle of gin and a teddy bear, a stress ball.
What's my family like? That is when
Yeah.
when I read the premise to your podcast, I thought to myself, wow, there are some things I have not said publicly.
Oh, really? We're going to get the scoop?
No, it's just my family, like yours, are complex, big personalities, not a lot of self-awareness.
Sure.
And if I piss them off, disappear from my life for 6 months.
Right.
So my dad was born in Italy, came here in 1951. Let's go back. No, he's a muso. He always has been. He was the only lead singer, though, to want to stand back with the drummer. Just to get an idea of how shy my father is. Yes. My mum, extroverted, bonkers, terrifying, wonderful, terrifying human.
An artist as well?
No, but I think very creative. Can't sing a note. Like it's famous. She is tone deaf. Famous. But that's my dad's an amazing singer. No, she's not. She's very creative and an excellent storyteller. My mum gathered around the campfire, kids.
Yeah.
And she's also a witch. She gave a man boils and then he later died.
No.
So she is multi-talented.
My grandmother was the witch in her village in Russia.
Oh, well, I think her and Jenny should have been that.
Like
yes.
she should have been a movie star. We all said she should have. 6'2", gorgeous, big Russian, big personality, like Zsa Zsa Gabor from Minsk. And it's like these people. Maybe women weren't given the avenues to explore this.
Yeah.
But they were stars.
Yeah. No, my mum very much. Some would say sucks all the energy out of the room. Some would say provides it. It could be a little bit of both, but
they're two sides of the same fucking coin.
True.
And we know because I get told that about me.
Same.
God, you're on a lot, aren't you?
Oh.
But then everyone's having a good time.
But I was subjected very early. I wasn't really allowed to listen to kids' music. My first album that I recall was Stevie Wonder, Hotter Than July, Hot Summer Nights, Hotter Than July, Shaka Khan. I didn't know white people sung till I was about 10. I only Earth, Wind and Fire.
And
George
it's still on the fence.
Yeah, exactly. But no, and I watched the classics. Great Race was my dad's favourite film with Tony Curtis. So I grew up watching that every week with my dad, and that was so camp.
Some Like It Hot.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I mean, you and I are clearly cut from the same cloth, but I've always been exposed to divas and campery. My mum worked at the AIDS hospital. I was around gay men from a very young age. She left me there with them. And the thing with my parents, I've always been around the beatniks and the queers and the creatives. My dad took me to see the Lay Girls on his way home from a gig, and I think I was like 6. I saw Carlotta before I was even 10.
Amazing.
So
what a pedigree.
Yeah, my parents exposed me very early on.
Hey, I've got some like little setting in chats because some of our listeners, sometimes because they're all over, they might not have heard of you. I want to get a little picture. What was your...
Imagine if Ruby Rose had let herself go.
No.
A tribute act to Pink in 10 years. Judy Garland's long lost daughter.
It's very on. It's like it's on. It's very good. Hey, can I get a sense of what your bedroom was like as a kid?
Yes. So we got an extension to our house in 1989 and I was given my own room. Previously was sharing with my sister. And when I tell you the chokehold, 4-poster beds had on girls in the late 80s, like it's all I wanted. So I was given a 4-poster bed where my mother hand sewed a canopy. It was stunning, hand sewed me a beautiful quilt. And so I had a beautiful 4-poster bed in my new room. They didn't have enough money to finish the wardrobe. So that was just a hole in a wall with a clothes rack. It was like a troll cave. But that's okay. I had my 4-poster bed.
That's it. You were a princess.
I was. And on the wall was just Fred Savage, Kevin Arnold from the Wonder Years.
Stop. Yes.
I used to wish death upon Winnie Cooper anytime she touched that man. He was my number one.
He was the Chad Michael Murray of his year.
Oh, my God. I can't even tell you. But, I mean, obviously I graduated to Luke and Jason from 90210. But my room was smash hits posters and a princess bed.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Were you similar to your siblings with that? How many siblings do you have?
I have one sister.
One sister? What's the age difference?
3 years. And you wouldn't pick us in a lineup.
No.
We don't have anything in common.
And personality-wise?
Completely other ends of the spectrum. She's very quiet. She's blonde hair, blue eyed. Works at a pharmacy. She lives a very quiet life. Yeah, we don't have anything in common.
Your dad's Italian?
Correct.
Right.
Mum's Australian.
Mum's Australian. So your other sister kind of takes genetically after mum.
Yes.
You kind of take after dad.
Yeah.
And do you get along, you and your sister?
I think we get along. We're just not very close.
Yeah.
Which I think people find really hard to understand. We just are so different and have none of the same kind of common interests. And I was out of the house very early. Like I left home at 17. She didn't move out of home till she was like 35. So just very different. We're not close. We're just, no, we're not close. That's a lie. I like her. She's my sister. I love her.
Fine.
We're just, not close.
But love and personality is two very different things. And just get a set, we do these little quick fire questions. Names of parents?
Jenny and Vince.
Where in the world are they located?
In Melbourne.
In Melbourne. And do you think they're going to listen to this?
My mum will.
Will she?
100%.
Is she a fan or is she like a monitor?
She has Google alerts on my name.
I mean, that feels cute. Is she scary? Cute?
Yeah.
How long have they been married?
50 years.
50 years.
Maybe 48. I know, a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the marriage, do you think?
It's amazing because my father knows his place.
We love it. We love to
My dad
hear.
has cooked my mum breakfast in bed every single morning of their marriage.
No.
Yep. He took over doing all the cooking when she went back to do her master's. For my whole life, my dad's cooked dinner. My dad is there to serve at the pleasure of Jenny.
That's amazing.
And
he loves it?
Yeah. They love each other. They are so devoted to each other. And I think sometimes to the detriment of us.
Really?
They put their relationship before the kids, which not a lot of parents do.
No.
And I look at that now and think, well, good for them.
Yeah.
But also, why did you have kids? But also, thank God they did.
Because someone's got to sell out the Palais twice, bitch.
Thank you. I'm sweating. I'm sorry, Mum.
I got a question. What do you think their parenting style with you as a kid was?
Trivial Pursuit, orgies, sleeping bag under table, twisties for dinner.
Love.
Boomers.
Love.
Yeah, boomers.
That's great.
I was sent outside on my bike and told to come home when streetlights came on.
Fair. Absolutely. I remember my mum gave me $50 and said, go play on public transport.
Correct.
Which now, listening back, feels like trying to drop me off at the farm.
It all changed, though, when I turned about 15 and Mum suddenly took a very keen interest in my education.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. So all of a sudden she realised, God, this girl is fucked if we don't get her back on the rails. And by that time, I'd set the train on fire. There was no hope for me.
What do you mean?
Well, I thought I was going to be an Olympian. I was a world junior hurdler. So I was training 7 days a week and didn't give a shit about school.
Yeah.
And I wasn't good at school. I was good at some subjects, but not the main ones. My mum once I can't believe I'm saying this. My mum once announced to the family that Em is good at everything that doesn't matter.
Can I say that is an amazing statement and an amazing piece of dialogue, but oofed.
Yeah. I mean, and what she meant was the things that schools value are, science, maths, all that stuff. I was very good at drama and music.
Anything with expression.
Art, yes.
That revolved around impulsive instinct and that kind of emotional drive.
But at the time, now I understand the statement, but at the time it was pretty rough.
And this is another question. You are like a very proud advocate for neurodivergence, for people with autism and ADHD.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about autism. Do you think part of this was also, it was all undiagnosed and it was all building as well?
Yes. I know I'm autistic ADHD. So much of my childhood makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So much of the things I struggled with make sense. So many of the things I was good at make sense. But this constant desire and need for people to get me, like I over-explain myself all the time. And my biggest fear is being misunderstood because I've spent my life feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I always used to feel like I'd have to wake up and pop my skin suit on and go off and pretend to be one of the locals and then get home and be exhausted from studying kids all day. And I didn't know other people didn't study other people to figure out how to behave.
Yeah.
So all of those things now I'm able to look back with hindsight, but I'm also very sad because
you have to grieve the thing you've lost.
Yeah. And if I had have had this information back then, I wouldn't, but I don't think I would have achieved as much if I wasn't diagnosed late because I was so desperate for people's approval that I just went flaps to the wall on every fucking thing I touched. So I think if I did, my children often yell that at me, you loved us too much. That's why we don't achieve anything. I'm like, well, that's my only sin.
Why is everyone in your family at a 10 of drama and only speaks in dialogue that they throw scarves over their shoulders as they leave the salon?
Who can say?
Who can say?
Who can say?
Also, I'm just going to real highlight for our listeners. Yes, Em did just say flaps to the wall. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's brilliant.
Why would I want to squash balls to the wall? They're so weak.
Oh,
They would do anything. Get a suction with a flap,
Nothing.
wouldn't you? Like a snail.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yes.
How did your parents react to the late diagnosis of autism and ADHD?
I don't know. We haven't really talked
Oh,
about
they
it.
don't know.
Mm-mm.
They don't know?
They know.
They know.
I mean, I did a National Press Club address. Guys, in case you haven't heard, I invented ADHD. It's me. It's my fault. It's my idea. I started it. It's really caught on. What a fad.
God, you should have done some copyright on that.
I agree. Imagine the merch.
Yeah.
I just feel
Em Rusciano, ADH me. That's good.
Good. Trademark.
That's good trademark.
Yeah, no, we haven't discussed it. And they are both, and Jenny, hear me when I say this, neurodivergent. As fuck. ADHD AF. I cannot begin. But I didn't know our family was strange until I kind of got around other families.
And took a step back.
Yeah, like my parents, we all operate, we're neurodivergent, we're specimens. We're like the perfect, my mum and my dad and their weird aversions to sound and light and touch and tags and my dad cataloguing all these tools and my mum, but we do not talk about it.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Do you find any part of them comes through?
Well, my dad said,
oh, yeah.
You're not autistic, you're Italian. So, yeah.
Well, Mussolini did make those trains run on time.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, do you think there's any part of Jen and your dad? Vince. How do I know that?
Well, he's Rocco Vincenzo, but he turned it into Vince when he moved here.
No, keep Rocco.
I know, but the Aussies really got on him.
God.
I know.
Jen, and is there part of Jen and Vince that comes through in your onstage persona or your comedy?
Yes.
Which parts come through?
Well, Jen is like if Kath and Kim were set in Turak. Just imagine. And a lot of the ethnic comes out. Yeah, definitely. My dad is a hilarious maniac. Like he once rewired the right-on mower to be a V8, put on thongs, which is his safety wear, and flipped it. And it was riding up. I was getting home from school, was going hell for leather up a hill, and he flipped it and he put his arms up to block the blades. He shredded up all his arms, thongs, the whole thing. And as he was passing out, he's like, "Can you get me the Savlon?" Because he thinks Savlon's going to cure cancer. Like he used to give me Savlon for period pain. And so he's a great character. He's just
topical.
Pop it on. Are you sad? You're depressed? Have the Savlon. What am I going to do? Shelve it? Thanks, Tash. But he is just this most bizarre character who everybody loves. He's so funny. He looks like Super Mario. He's adorable.
Yeah, he does. I've seen him.
And then my mum is just this, Ursula meets Miss Hannigan in the guise of a Turak blonde woman. So, yes, both of them definitely, especially the way my mum handles herself in a room, come through on stage. 100%. Yeah.
You grew up as like the only ethnic kid in an Australian school?
Yes, very much so.
And what was that? It must have been rough.
Horrendous. Yeah, as soon as my name got called on the first day of school, as soon as the teacher said Emilia Rusciano, it was done. I was done. I was othered. I was othered day one because I really was in a school with Jaden, Braden, and Caden.
Yeah.
Hectic.
And what coping mechanisms do you come through at that age?
Well, I just figured out really early on to get really fucking good at sport because Aussies value nothing more than sport. And I was really coordinated and really good. I made my first national team when I was 10. I was the best high jumper in Australia as a 10-year-old. I made state netball team, state basketball team. I just set about, and I didn't even particularly like playing the sports. Right. I was just good at them. Yeah. That's how I coped, by being on all the teams. And
also, I would imagine like just making sure that you're exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Like a greyhound, giving yourself that good run so you sleep.
Yeah, I'm hyperactive ADHD. I have the traditional male presentation. So, yes, running myself ragged was the only way I didn't feel like my skin was, my blood was fizzing all the time. So,
it's also one of the reasons why you and I work so much.
Yeah, totally.
All the time.
Yeah, otherwise, then the energy turns bad.
Into like, it just turns
it's
into
negative.
anxiety
Yeah.
or sometimes aggression
Yeah.
or turns inwards
Yeah.
or turns into complete deactivation,
Yeah.
which is like depression.
Totally. And I felt that acutely as a little kid. But the coping was also studying people and being different versions of myself in different settings, like becoming a real chameleon. That was another, which is why I think I'm such a good performer, because I have been performing from the age of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said when you went to Italy for the first time ever, you're outside a drag club and you said it felt like you made sense.
Yeah.
2 things to unpick here. What made sense in Italy and what made sense for you in a drag club?
I was put into context in Italy. That was probably the biggest thing. I got context and I was celebrated and enjoyed. And oftentimes in Australia, I feel like people endure me and don't enjoy me. I was able, like, you speak with your hands. And as soon as Italians find out you're Italian, they bring you into their community. I arrived at Fiumicino with an Australian passport. But one of the security guards was checking our passports, saw my name and put me in the line for the locals. And it was just immediately I was welcomed as one of their own.
Which is something that hasn't happened to you historically.
Ever with anything. Fuck. And to that extent, same with the drag club, drag queens from when I was very little. And like I said, I went to the Lay Girls when I was little. I've been going to drag clubs since I was 15. I've always been drawn to drag acts. I've always been drawn to women who embody drag acts. All the Disney villains are my favorite. Ursula, Maleficent. I was always drawn to the villains. I hated the princesses. They were useless and weak and passive.
I agree.
And I didn't relate to them. And I related to the really complex women. So drag for me is, again, drag queens enjoy me and get me, and I'm never too much. And I love the art of it. And I love that it creates a safe space. All the things I've always craved.
Talking of drag clubs, you got some stick online for basically having a social life, that you're being led astray by gays.
Yes. Good.
What was that about? What was that about?
Well, anytime I post that I'm not home with my children, people panic because I don't fit the stereotypical preconception of a mother, I guess. I just don't. And anytime I step outside of what people are comfortable with that role, people panic. And it's not ever in my own community. It's always the Daily Mail will write something, or she's out again or whatever. But they haven't been documenting the 5 days leading up where I've been hand-making lunches and sewing book week costumes and cleaning everyone's room and cleaning the toilets. Like, there's so many things that I have to do to get me out one night a week.
Yeah.
And I'm a better mother when I'm kind of servicing that part of me.
Absolutely.
I always look after myself first, and I don't feel selfish for that. So I don't know. The gays have been leading me astray for as long as I can remember, and I hope they continue. And I'm really gunning for my lady in life lesbian phase. Like, I'm just hoping it's coming.
When?
Oh, please.
When?
I'm ready.
I want you to introduce me to sort of like a nice furniture restorer called Nadia.
Heaven.
Great.
If you're out there, Nadia. But no, the queer community have always, both my daughters are queer. My best friend is a gay man. Like, I'm the only hetero in my life, pretty much. So... And I'm working on it.
And you've got, you're a parent of 3 kids.
Yes.
2 queer daughters.
Yes.
And the gorgeous Elio.
Yes. Autistic to the fucking max.
And how has being diagnosed with autism late and then having an autistic child change the way that you parent him compared to like the way your parents parented you?
Well, I'm there. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, Jenny. I know you work so hard. I know you're working 3 jobs and getting your degree and your master's. And I see you, Jenny. I think I let my kids lead me, and I always have. Having said that, I know my daughters are 22 and 17, and then I've got a 4-year-old. And I know those 2 poor bitches are watching me with the 4-year-old being like, bitch.
It's the curse of the older kids to watch their parent be a better parent
I'm so
too.
Good.
Because they've learned.
I have. And I'm 45. I was 21 when I got pregnant with Chella. That's a massive...
That's a kid. That's a kid with
a kid.
I was a
kid with a kid. I was. And she is my best friend, and she is an incredible human, and I'm so proud of the job her and her father, we've done with her, mainly me, but Scott had some say. And if we're being honest, I mean, if you asked her, she would say the same. He would probably say the same also. So, but Elio, for me... him and I are very similar. So when he's having a moment of meltdown or overwhelm, I'm able to parent him the way I would like it to have happened. And he gets given a dummy and he gets put in a beanbag and his favorite TV show gets put on. I mean, that's That's the correct response for anything. Just put a gin in my hand and you've got Yahtzees. So
you get to be the person you wanted.
Totally.
Which is also what you said just before we started recording about what you want to be for your community.
Yeah. I'm always working at being I know it sounds so twee and gross, but just a better person. And I over-pathologize myself. I think I take it too far to an extent. Like, wouldn't it be great to just wake up one day and be like a straight white guy and be like, yeah,
I'm fine.
I'm perfect.
What do I need to have a look at myself for?
No work here.
I'm done. Hey, we're going to wrap it up. But before we do...
Oh, my God. Have I answered any of your questions? Nah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You absolutely have. You've
Great.
done really... You know what you've done? Really well.
Oh,
You've done really well.
Thank you.
But the last couple of things we do is called the pick and mix.
Great.
That's where you dip your hand into the sweetie jar of childhood experience and pick a selection of potentially tongue-numbing tales to share with us. Pick and mix, pick and mix. It's time for us to do pick and mix. I will do a quick rundown of them.
I already read them. Don't worry. I did my fucking homework.
Oh, did you?
And quite frankly, where's your barrel? I was expecting a literal barrel.
I know.
With ping pong balls and that you'd written the things on.
I had to wash all the ping pong balls. I didn't have any Dawn at home.
Good.
You have chosen It's So Unfair.
No, it's so unfair.
Tell me, what's something that your parents did that really pissed you off?
Well, when I was 11 years old, I had a beautiful brown box cubby house that my uncle had built me that had the word Emmy across the front. It was my space. It was my safe space at Emmy. And then one day I got home from school and they had written in white paint underneath and Abby.
Oh, no. Nah, fuck that.
Thank you.
Fuck that.
Fucking oath. And I went in there and I went full meltdown. I got everything. And they'd even like set up my sister's dolls and stuff in there. I threw them out like a woman scorned, pulled their heads off the Barbies, chucked them out the window.
Full Patti LuPone getting fired from Sunset Boulevard.
Yes. I got a marker and I scratched out her name. I was so mad. That was the one thing I had that was my own. And you should have seen me walking up the driveway. It was just, I dropped my school bag, fell off my shoulder, and I stood there with my mouth agape as I looked at Anne Abbey still freshly painted there, and I was like, no.
That's amazing.
I'll never forgive that.
It makes me now want to get a tattoo of Anne Abbey somewhere.
They also gave Abby a real Cabbage Patch doll that year with the Xavier thing on its bum, and I got a Preston Market one. Couldn't afford both of us to have one.
No.
Yeah. I ripped the kids' undies down so quick. No signature. Well, couldn't Jenny have at least tried to fake it? She didn't even try. It didn't have individual toes. It had like flesh rectangles.
Oh, no. Hard pass like the witches.
It was terrible. Yes. I think about that scene a lot. God, I love Angelica Houston. Wasn't such a fan of the remake.
Shall I be mother?
You've got one last little hurdle. It's called Shall I Be Mother? And you get to look into my eyes.
Oh, no.
And imagine that I'm Jen or Vince or some odd 2024 non-binary mashup of the two and speak directly from your heart.
I'm autistic. Eye contact's hard.
You can stare.
I can look at you. I can stare at you. You're a safe person. First time you've been told that.
Very true. I've got it on record now, so I'll just play it.
You're one of my... I've got 10. You're one of them. What am I doing? Telling you what I've always wanted to hear?
No, just speak from your heart to your parents. What would you say to Jen and Vince?
Am I meant to be serious or is it meant to be funny?
You can be serious or funny, whichever one you choose.
Shit. Well, I would honestly say to them, I now know at 45 you really did the best with what you had. You autistic ADHD motherfuckers.
And you know what you did? You perfectly straddled both of those.
It's almost like it's my job.
It's there. Hey, where can the Come to Daddy listeners find you?
Oh, everywhere. I am prolific. I'm a whore. Just try and stop me from infiltrating your life. I'm herpes. Instagram at Em Rusciano is probably the best place. I have a website. I have a podcast, Emsolation, that I make completely independent on my own with a great team. But if you just look it up, don't ever Google News me because it's not pretty.
It ain't good, but it's brilliant. And I have to say, the Instagram is gorgeous and the podcast, Emsolation, is stunning. Get your ears round it. As usual, you know where to find me, on the internet, in the gutter. Hey, thanks for coming to Daddy, Em Rusciano.
Thank you. I love you.
That was gorgeous.
Thanks,